Hey there football fans, welcome back to my channel where I talk about anything and everything football related. Today I'll be sharing some of my predictions for the upcoming college football season and highlighting 7 players who I believe are primed for a breakout season. Every year we have players explode onto the scene, making a huge impact for their team as well as making a name for themselves in the national spotlight. These next 7 names are guys that I would keep an eye on for next season. Starting my list, I have Arizona State's Jordyn Tyson. Before landing in Tempe, Jordyn was a 3-star recruit coming out of Allen, Texas, who originally played for Colorado last season. He caught 28 passes for 470 yards and 4 touchdowns while also making an impact in the return game for the Buffs as well. He averaged over 21 yards per reception, which would rank 4th in the FBS. Realistically, anytime he touched the ball, it would end up being a big play. Not only can he stretch the field, standing at 6'2" with a 40-inch vertical allows Jordyn to be a lethal weapon in the red zone. The Sun Devils do have a lot of bodies in the receiver room already, but I'm positive Tyson will be able to work his way up the depth chart quickly. I wouldn't be shocked for him to finish as the number 2 receiver in this offense behind Elijah Badger, who caught 70 balls last season. Playing in the Pac-12 means there will more than likely always be fireworks on offense. And with all due respect to the Sun Devils, I expect them to be playing catch-up in at least a few games next year, which could really allow Jordyn to put up some ridiculous stat lines. The next guy on my list is another impact transfer from Bloomington, Indiana. Dasan McCullough was a freshman All-American last season for the Hoosiers and recorded 49 total tackles and 4 sacks in just 4 starts. Oklahoma had a lot of struggles last season, but getting after the quarterback was definitely one of their main problems. Not a single player on defense recorded over 5 sacks, which is a huge reason why they were outscored by opponents by an average of nearly 5 points a game. Coming out of high school, McCullough was actually labeled as an athlete due to his ability to truly play all over the field. He logged snaps at linebacker, edge rusher, safety, cornerback, and even wide receiver at Bloomington South High School. Dasan McCullough is the freak athlete the Sooners need on this defense to make quarterbacks like Quinn Ewers and Jalen Daniels' lives a lot tougher. If your favorite team currently plays in the Big 12, I'd get used to hearing his name quite often. The next player I want to talk about has already received comps to Vince Young during his redshirt freshman campaign. Taylen Green is a quarterback for the Boise State Broncos and could be a dark horse for the Heisman in the near future. The 6'6" quarterback is another Texas product that has gone on to the next level and exceeded expectations early on. As soon as he got on campus, Green showed signs of being an elite playmaker, especially with his legs. Green's long strides allow him to gain a ton of ground very quickly, similar to Trevor Lawrence or I guess even possibly Vince Young. Last season, he was given the nod over Hank Bachmeier, who would eventually enter the transfer portal mid-season after the Broncos fired their offensive coordinator just 4 games into the year. Once he took over, the struggling Broncos team would find a spark, going on an 8-3 run and averaged over 31 points a game. They would make it to the Miami Beach Bowl, where Taylor once again showed off his legs, rushing for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns to help the Broncos take down UNT 35-32. Even though he can obviously make plays with his legs, he must become a more consistent passer next season to really take that next step in becoming an elite college quarterback. But I wouldn't say that's something out of reach. After a shaky first 4 starts, Taylen really kicked things into gear as he went on a run where he scored 14 touchdowns to just 0 turnovers and completed over 65% of his passes. If Taylen Green can keep that level of consistency through a full 13-game season, I'm fully confident he can become a top college quarterback. Riley Leonard was one of the more exciting quarterbacks to watch last season and is the next name I want to talk about. Now, admittedly, Duke wasn't a football team I was really paying a lot of attention to last season, but I did end up watching a good amount of their games. And when doing so, it's hard to miss Riley Leonard and what he can do with the ball. In his first year as a starter, Riley put up over 3,600 total yards and 33 touchdowns for the Blue Devils. He's a major part in flipping this 3-9 team into a 9-4 team with a bowl game victory over UCF. Last season, Riley was the leading rusher for the Blue Devils, rushing for nearly 700 yards and 13 touchdowns. Leonard's ability to not just get things done with his arm, but also with his legs will make him one of the biggest surprises in the 2023-2024 season. Riley will immediately get his opportunity to shock the world as they open the season against Clemson. If he can get the Blue Devils to pull off an upset against Clemson, Florida State, or even UNC, I would expect his name to skyrocket in the media. Speaking of Clemson, the next guy on my list is Cade Klubnik, who I think many are excited to see this season. Klubnik was a 5-star quarterback coming out of Westlake High School and regarded as the #1 quarterback in his recruiting class. Pretty much as soon as he got on campus, he started putting pressure on DJ Uiagalelei for the starting job. At the end of the year last season, after subbing in for DJ already once during the regular season, Cade took over the starting job in the ACC Championship and helped the Tigers knock off UNC 39-10. He would take home the ACC Championship MVP, and DJ would then enter the transfer portal not too long after that. Now with the offense completely in Klubnik's hands, the sky seems to be the limit for the Tigers. Clemson just brought in Garrett Riley to be the new offensive coordinator who just helped TCU to a national championship, averaging nearly 39 points a game. This new offense is extremely quarterback friendly and will allow Cade to use his high IQ to make decisions he thinks are best to be made. I got to watch Klubnik for 2 years at Westlake, and everything I've seen from him leads me to believe he will have Clemson right where they want to be. During my time scouting him, I've watched him beat out Quinn Ewers not just for the Elite 11 Finals MVP, but for a state championship as well. With all that being said, I think it's easy to see why I think Cade Klubnik will have a monster 2023. Another player I've been able to watch since he was a sophomore in high school is the Longhorns' newest star linebacker, Anthony Hill Jr. Anthony was a #1 linebacker in the 2023 recruiting cycle and a top 25 recruit in the entire country coming out of Denton Ryan High School. He is by far one of the freakiest athletes I've seen on the defensive side of the ball in quite some time. At Denton Ryan, he not only played linebacker, but they also used him as a running back just because of how athletic he is. Anthony's going to be a sideline-to-sideline menace for the Longhorns. Coming in at 6'2", 230 pounds, Hill already looks like he's been in college for a few seasons. He will more than likely be an instant starter for the Longhorns and had a very impressive spring game a few weeks ago. This is exactly the kind of players Texas needs to get on their roster to become competitive not just in the SEC, but in the race for a national championship. The final name on my list is a guy who was able to see playing time on Georgia's defensive line as a true freshman last season, and that would be the 6'5", 265-pound man-child Mykel Williams. Williams was a 5-star recruit and the #7 overall prospect in the class of 2022. He was an early enrollee at Georgia and instantly found himself in the rotation of elite defensive linemen. During 2022, Williams managed to record 28 total tackles, 4.5 sacks, and 31 quarterback hurries, which led the team in both categories. He flashed a lot of his talent during the college football playoff where he recorded a sack in both games. Mykel was able to get the best of Paris Johnson Jr., who was a top 10 pick in this past draft class. Nolan Smith was even quoted saying Williams reminds him a ton of Trayvon Walker, which isn't too surprising considering his ability to make plays from all across the defensive line. Mykel looks to get even bigger and stronger this offseason as he prepares to get an even bigger role this season.
But that right there will pretty much wrap up my list of players I think will have a breakout season this year.
Who's someone you think will have a big 2023 season? Leave a comment down below, and if you're a football addict like I am, be sure to like and subscribe for more football related content. You can catch some of my other videos right here, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. Until then, peace.